Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I'm your host Blake, but today, I often start these off by saying we have a special show, but this show is special in a totally different way because we're going to talk about ways that we're helping people and ways that Mendy Minhara's group is helping people and ways that we're partnering with them. We're going to talk about Extra Life. You can see from the shirts we all have on. Extra Life is coming up, and Wizards of the Coast has been partnering with Extra Life for how long now?
Well, over a decade.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons has done it for over a decade. In Magic, I think it's our 8th year where we've fundraised. So pretty incredible.
So we're going to be talking a lot about Extra Life and how we raise funds and what those funds do, which is why Mendy is here. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that, including a secret layer that is going to be available to help support Extra Life. Now, today is a monthly announcement day, so before we get to talking about that, we do have some news, and including some previews. So let's do some of that first, and then we'll get to talking about Extra Life. First of all, Phyrexia All Will Be One. Shortly, there will be some information going up on Daily MTG. No previews today. We're not talking cards about Phyrexia All Will Be One. A little early for that. But you will learn a few things like the release date, which is February 3rd, 2022. There will be shots of the packaging. You can see the set symbol, the logo here. Later in the show, head to dailymtg.com and you will see more information about Phyrexia All Will Be One. Again, no cards, just some information. I also want to point out, more contemporarily, Brothers War is coming soon, and we kicked things off today with the Building Worlds video hosted by Lady Danger. That is available right now for your viewing, came out this morning. If you head to YouTube and the Magic the Gathering YouTube page, you can see that video right at the top and learn a little bit more about building the world around the Brothers War. Additionally, coming up, wouldn't be a monthly announcement day if we didn't have some kind of preview. So Jumpstart 2022 is coming. It releases December 2nd of this year. It will have 46 different themes and 121 different variations. We're going to show you 2 of those themes today, including some new cards that are included in this set, as well as some pretty cool reprints. So we're going to kick things off with Cold Steel Heart, a favorite. Now, one of the cool things we are doing with this set is each packet is going to contain some manga art. This is the Cold Steel Heart with that style of art. Now, this one is going to be in a snow packet, the full deck list of which we're going to reveal today. We're also today going to talk about a deck list called Speedy, and this next card is very speedy. It's got haste. Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker, again with that specialized manga art. These are, you can look down at the bottom, you can see the Japanese artists who worked on these. One of my coworkers has a commander deck with Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker. His name happens to be Trick, so we haven't figured out if the flavor text here of "Want to see a neat trick" was inspired by him or a pure coincidence. Either way, we know he'll be picking one of those up, and that will be in any Speedy deck list. Next up, we have a new card in the Snow deck list. This one is Isu the Abominable, and I'm going to read this one because it's a new card. So it's 3 and 2 blue mana for a legendary snow creature Yeti. It's a 5/5. It says, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play snow lands and cast snow spells from the top of your library. And whenever another snow permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay green, white, or blue. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Isu the Abominable. Next up in the Speedy deck list is another unique card, Ardaz Cobbler of War. This is 1 and a red for a 1/1 legendary creature, Goblin Shaman. It has haste because Speedy. Whenever Ardaz, Cobbler of War, or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then you can pay 3 and a red to create a 1/1 red goblin creature token with, of course, haste. Again, it's Speedy. Activate only as a sorcerer. Sorcery. sorcery. And then, so for those who aren't familiar, Jumpstart comes in what we call packets. So each packet contains essentially half a deck, about 20 cards. Not about, it contains 20 cards. You take 2 deck lists, you shuffle them together, or 2 packets, shuffle them together. So we're going to look at the Speedy packet next. So Kiki-Jiki, Mirror Breaker, Ardaaz, Cobbler of War, who we were just introduced to, and then cards like Bolthound, Warcry Phoenix, Markov Warlord, Fiery Conclusion, Fanatical Firebrand, Nest Robber, Mud Button Torch Runner, Irrelevant Revelers, Rush of Adrenaline, Swift Kick, Thriving Bluff, and 7 Mountains. The Snow packet list is going to come with Isu the Abominable, Merit Lage's Slumber, Cold Steel Heart, Avalanche Collar, Phyrexian Ironfoot, Icebind Pillar, Pilfering Hawk, Frostpeak Yeti, Chiller Pillar, Bergstrider, Winter's Rest, Crippling Chill, Shimmerdrift Veil, and 7 snow-covered islands. We will be having previews for the rest of Jumpstart 2022 come November, right before Thanksgiving. We'll be talking about all the rest of the 46 themes and 121 different variations and all the new cards. So very excited for Jumpstart 2022. I know that's a fan favorite. I enjoy it as well. Speaking of deck lists, if you didn't catch it, this morning on Daily MTG, we released the deck lists for the starter commander decks. The starter commander decks are meant to be a more affordable version than our usual pre-con decks, and they're a great way to introduce your friend to the format or to start a deck of your own. So head to dailymtg.com and you can check out the deck lists for the starter commander decks. Next up, we have a bit of an announcement of something cool that is going to be at Magic 30, but will be available to purchase outside of Magic 30. It's a Chandra. It is an actual, real-world working. It's not real fire. Chandra's Gauntlet. Let's take a look at the video. It was going to show it off much better than I can explain it. So a few more details about Chandra's Pyromancer's Gauntlet. So we will have a few to show off at Magic 30. If you're one of the cosplayers there, certainly you'll want to take a look at that. So this is the Magic the Gathering Chandra's Pyromancer's Gauntlet by Hasbro. It has 3 different glove sizes for fans of different sizes. It will come with a limited edition print run from a limited edition print with art from Magali Villanueva, and that art will appear on an exclusive preview card, or exclusive card as well, which will be a foil Pyromancer's Gauntlet, a card that was last printed in Magic 2014. Very appropriate card, but that card's getting updated art from Magali, and it will have the retro frame as well. So that's part of it. This will retail for $299.99, and pre-ordering will begin on October 27th, exclusively on Hasbro Pulse. So definitely check out Hasbro Pulse. If you're going to be at Magic 30, we'll have some of these on hand for you to take a look at if you are curious. So that is Chandra's Gauntlet. It's kind of this cool new space. We haven't created anything like that before, so I'm pretty excited to get my hands on one. I have not seen a physical version yet, but I'm excited about it. All right, let's move into what we're all wearing shirts for, Extra Life. So let's start with some introductions. So Mike Turian, you might know. He is one of the architects that works on a lot of our products. But he's here because he's one of a small group at Wizards who consistently works on Extra Life and is one of the partners that works on that. And Mike does a lot of good work in that space. And then Mendy Minhares is the executive director for the Autism Center at Seattle Children's Hospital. So appreciate you two coming. Why don't we start, since we've said Extra Life a bunch already. Mike, why don't you tell us a bit about what Extra Life is?
Yes, so Extra Life is this amazing organization that fundraises money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And what those are, you know, for us in Seattle, we have Seattle Children's Hospital. So Seattle Children's Hospital partners with Extra Life and the Children's Miracle Network to fundraise for kids, for families who need help, right? There's so many, you know, kids out there who need the services of Seattle Children's, and Extra Life is really the fundraising arm that does that. And we get to do that by playing games, right? Which, of course, we all love, right?
We're good at that. We know how to do that.
Right, I was getting excited by when the Jumpstart cards were coming. I was like, oh, that's right. It's just we love to play games. And so Extra Life partners that love of gameplay, right, with, you know, this incredible mission and lets everybody, including Wizards, fundraise and help out these kids, these families who really need our help.
Yeah. And so Seattle Children's Miracle Network are large groups, but our funds go to help a specific group, and that's why Mendy's here. So Mendy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the work your center does, and then how the funds go towards that?
Yeah, definitely. So our center, we're the Seattle Children's Autism Center, and we have benefited greatly from Extra Life over the last few years, so we're very grateful for that. So we are a freestanding center that is affiliated with Seattle Children's, and we serve children across the age range that Children's serves, which is up to the age of 21. But we actually also serve adults with autism.
Okay.
There is a real dearth of services in the community for adults with autism and developmental disabilities, so we don't cap our age, so that we can really serve that whole lifespan. And we provide a range of services. So we provide diagnostic services, we provide a range of specialized treatment services, we provide family support and education, helping families access, you know, resources in the community, that sort of thing. So we're really meant to be sort of one-stop shopping, if you will, for if your child has autism, we, you know, should have some sort of service or support that can be helpful to your family.
Okay.
So our capacity is large. We're sort of, I don't know, victims of our own success, I guess, or something, one of those cliched, you know, kind of terms. So we, historically, you know, COVID has, of course, affected our capacity like everyone else's, but historically we serve between 4,000 and 4,500 unique patients per year, and that's across about 20,000 visits.
Okay.
So sometimes patients are coming, you know, for multiple visits or for weekly therapies, that sort of thing. So it's 4,500 unique patients, about 20,000 visits to the clinic.
Okay. And are those all individuals in King County, throughout the state? Where are people coming from?
Yes, so that's a very good question. So people come from all over the state of Washington. Absolutely, we're definitely the largest, you know, autism program in the state of Washington. We're actually one of the only you know, hospital-based kind of diagnostic programs in the state of Washington that takes Medicaid. So we have about 60% of our families are on Medicaid insurance, and so of course also with uncompensated care at Children's. Families know that they can access services from us one way or another because that's the mission of Children's in general. But Children's also serves then that 5-state region that some, you know, viewers might be familiar with. So that's Washington, Idaho, Montana, Alaska, and Wyoming. So we are considered the pediatric specialty care center for that 5-state region. And of course, kids don't come for like weekly therapy from Alaska, but families do fly down for, diagnostic evaluations and specialized services or intensive services. And people do come from a really shockingly broad geographic area on a regular basis. So, we have some programs that provide services daily. Maybe for 3 months you come every day, and some of those families come from like 2 hours away. Places like Anacortes. We have families that have come from Arlington and Darrington, North Bend, deep in Maple Valley, like at Snoqualmie. So when you think about like coming every day or every week, those geographic locations are pretty intense for families.
Yeah, I would imagine. So now you talked about a lot of different services, and I was very intrigued when we met earlier today to hear about exactly where the Wizards money is going. So I thought since we're asking people to support this, where do the Wizards donations go? What services do they perform?
Yeah, no, I'm very happy to share that information because we're so grateful for all those funds. So yeah, like we talked about earlier today, the clinical services that we have are reimbursable through health insurance, of course. But there are so many more services and so many more supports and so much more education that families of children and individuals with autism need. And so there is just a broad range of activities that we don't have any, sort of financial reimbursement model for, but that cost us money, that's where we rely on philanthropy. So a really good example of that in terms of kind of direct care to patients is any kind of like case management support, helping families get connected to resources or understand service systems, filling out government paperwork or special education, paperwork, that sort of thing. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
And so we have a team of, 4 or 5, we call them family navigators or patient, family resource specialists. That's their whole job. They phone calls, emails, in-person visits with families to just help them navigate, and none of that is reimbursable. So those are all philanthropy funded positions, for example. Okay. Other areas that we could get more into if you want to dive into specifics are, we have a lot of initiatives around trying to train community providers where we get people in from so many different areas. And while some of the care is really specialized, other parts of it, like diagnosing, for example, there is a good portion of kids that can be effectively diagnosed in the community, like in primary care, and by their pediatrician. And so training those people to diagnose autism, for example, so that they don't have to come to us. You don't have to then come from Omak or Vancouver or Forks or Moses Lake or Tri-Cities. If there's a pediatrician in your town who does that we've trained, you won't have to make that trip.
Sure.
But again, all that training is not reimbursable. We don't have any financial structure for that. So those kinds of projects, philanthropy, that we rely on philanthropy for that.
Okay. So Mike, we've talked generally about we raise money, but we're doing it in a number of ways. Can you walk through how the different ways kind of Wizards is raising this money?
Yeah, so one of the big things we do every year is we have a stream that we host, right? This year's stream is happening on Saturday, November 5th.
Yep.
Right,
good memory.
Thank you. It starts at 4 o'clock Pacific time. And that's a place where it's like, the employees of Wizards, community members who have joined Extra Life and are fundraising. It's the Extra Life, the big event, and Wizards is joining. And so while the Secret Layer, which we'll talk about upcoming, fundraises for exactly what Mendy was talking about, this is helping out all of the different children's hospitals, and participants choose, I want to fund Seattle Children's or Boston or Portland.
Yeah.
And so that streaming event, it has all sorts of fun activities to help us raise money for Extra Life. I think it was Last year, Mark Rosewater got dressed up as in a shark costume and became Shark Rosewater. If you want to go back into the archives and find Shark Rosewater, right there, we've done hot sauce challenges. We played, one of my favorites was we played Magic on Arena, covering up part of the screen, right? And so they could only like guess what their opponent was doing and try to navigate that way, right?
Sure.
So it's it's definitely because it's for the kids, right? And so the stream is one of the things. We also have employee streams that are happening the week leading up to it. So, and so and you'll find all of that right here on Twitch TV/Magic.
Yeah.
The stream is one piece.
Yeah, and I believe so. We've raised, I believe this is correct. We've raised about $4 million for Extra Life over the years.
Yeah.
But we have a pretty lofty goal this year, right?
Yeah. So the goal this year is to raise $2 million. Right. So that's that's a big number.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And great news through our efforts. We're over 750,000 right now. So we have. So I mean, which is for one incredible, right?
Most people don't even know this is
everybody,
started.
Right? And it really represents what we're trying to accomplish. And so the 2 million goal is something that our Magic players have already joined our team and fundraised, and it's an incredible number, and I look forward to hitting it every year. That number goes up and up, and every year we meet and exceed it. So for one, thank you for that. But also it just really shows how powerful the mission is of Extra Life and how Magic and Dungeons and Dragons can be a part of supporting these awesome causes.
Yeah. So now I've already seen chat asking about this and about the art we showed at the beginning of the stream. So what is another way that people can support Extra Life?
So a huge piece of that support comes through the secret layer drops that we do, and for this year we have the Extra Life 2022 secret layer drop, right, featuring these mysterious cards, and that by buying the product, right, that is directly helping with what Mendy is talking about, right? So the secret layer drop series and doing it as a charity product, right? It really ends up fundraising huge amounts of money.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the secret layer. So first of all, if you saw the secret layer that raised money for Extra Life last year, you already know the gag, and these are amazing. I love this. So let's put up the pictures of the artists with their cards. So this is Saeed, Muhammad, and Eli, who created the art for Birds of Paradise, Lathliss Dragon Queen, and Sliver Legion. And then we took their drawings and asked some of our regular artists to create their interpretations of them. So let's take some of these out. Here. You can pass that one down. Here,
Yes.
Sliver Legion.
Do I get?
Yeah, that's more Sliver Legion. So that's
Steve
Prescott, age 48. That's one of my favorite little touches on these. Yeah, we see Saeed is age 6. Saeed drew that, and Steve Prescott is 48. He's had a little bit more time to hone his craft, but he does an interpretation of what Saeed did. I also love the flavor text. Is inspired by the children as well. So in this case, an alien from another world. At first glance, it looks funny, maybe scary, and also maybe ugly, but mostly funny.
That sounds about right.
It sounds about right, yeah.
I took the quote from him, and I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it is accurate for Sliver Legion. All right, and then here's Lathliss.
Yeah,
we'll trade.
Here we go.
We'll trade. We should have practiced this beforehand.
Classic Magic trading.
There we go.
Right.
So there's Lathliss.
We've traded 2 Sliver Legions.
Yep, with art by Muhammad, age 4. Which is impressive for 4. And then there is Tyler Jacobson, age 39. His interpretation, I thought it was a perfect, like, 1-for-1 really great job there. And then the flavor text is, of course, if you saw her, you'd go, ah, which you would.
Right?
Absolutely would.
We need the kids on our staff writing flavor text, right?
All the time.
This is the best flavor
Right?
text.
They could have done Unfinity
Yeah.
for sure.
They absolutely could have. We had some great people on Infinity.
Oh, absolutely
Yeah.
we did, but they would have fit
Kids,
right in with
kids
them.
would have knocked it out of the park,
Right.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right, and then look at these. We're going to show these digitally. Yeah, they're there. Producer Sean's already on it. And
Thank you,
then
Sean.
All right.
Producer Sean, yep. And then we've got the Birds of Paradise here. We've got the art by Eli, age 8. With the flavor text, its diet consists of the rare everyberry, which tastes different every time. It loves the surprise. I'm pretty sure that's canon now. And then reinterpreted by Andrea Raddick, age 35, over here with some gorgeous art.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really is.
Yeah.
And the drop last year was great too. It had prints like Craterhoof Behemoth with some amazing art as well. Okay, let me read through a couple details on this just so that everyone has it. So 50% of each Extra Life purchase will go to Extra Life and the Seattle Children's Hospital Autism Center. These are available in non-foil and traditional foil. Non-foil is $39.99. Traditional foil is $49.99. And again, 50% of each purchase goes straight to the Autism Center. It's going to be on sale November 4th through 7th, which overlaps, of course, with the stream on November 5th. So if you're watching the stream and feel inspired, you can certainly purchase at that point. But Mike, this isn't the, there are some other activations with some of this fantastic art too, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed there. In addition to this, you can, Magic Arena always joins in, right? And so on Magic Arena, we have Extra Life sleeves.
Yep.
That I'm sure you can fill in the details.
I can,
Yeah,
yes.
If you yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
the details. There's an Extra Life sleeve bundle, basic sleeves of Birds of Paradise, Lathlas, and the Sliver Legion art, available in the Arena store from November 1st through 7th for 1,200 gems. And then the Extra Life logo sleeve, so this has the Ajani art that we've got here, that is also available November 1st through 7th, and that is 600 gems.
Yeah, and so that's another huge piece, the Magic Arena piece, right? It just for all of those players, you can upgrade your sleeves, the cosmetics, and really have show off that you want to support it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a huge piece.
Yep.
In addition to that, because there's as I mentioned before, you can go to extralife.wizards.com, and for one, it has a lot of the information that we've been sharing today, but also that's a great place to join and choose a children's hospital that you are interested in supporting. You can fundraise, you can join in on the event, and that's the sign-up page. If you sign up there, you'll sign up for the Magic team. Of course, people love to play D&D, or there's so many other video games and video game companies that are involved. You can partner up with them. So, of course, it's amazing, right? The first year I was involved with Magic, we raised, I believe, about $40,000, right? And so when you're quoting that $4 million number, right, it really just shows like it adds up, and what products there. Now, of course, we're also showing off these wonderful shirts that we're all wearing.
That is a non-completed Ajani.
It's a non-completed Ajani.
Completion Ajani.
Yes, it is pre-completed Ajani, and these are available at extralifeshop.com. They're on sale right now, actually, so you can buy these, or I think you're about to.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We have. If you could.
An unveiling.
Yes, we have for a play mat, right? For when you're playing with the Extra Life logo and the same logo as the shirt. And of course, as I've been, for those of you who are arena players, you can also use this, put it under your keyboard, use it as a mouse pad. It works wonderful for that too. So those are some of the great ways that you can support Extra Life. The Secret Lair on Arena, extralifeshop.com, fundraising. So There's, however you want to get involved, right?
Yeah.
That's we want to make sure that you have a path to support.
Well, and one of the things I like is we love working with the Autism Center, but I also know that when people donate, a lot of it is personal, and so I like that you can also have options for if someone has a family member who uses a different sort of care, they can donate to those sorts of programs, and which is really wonderful. I will also throw out there, so if you do head to extralife.wizards.com, you can either join the Magic the Gathering Extra Life team. You do have the ability to create sub-teams as well that benefit here. And then everyone who raises at least $100 on their Extra Life page or team page, who are part of the Wizards of the Coast halo of stuff, through November 15th, will get codes on Arena that will give the card style for Lathliss Dragon Queen that we showed off earlier, and 50 exclusive Arena Premium Retro Border card style codes for Collected Company. Yeah, Collected Company was one of the cards we used for a previous drop. Yeah, so that is, those are, I think, all of the ways. Did we miss anything?
We, there are so many ways we may have, but
It's a good thing, though.
Yes,
it is.
It's a good problem
it is
to
a good
have.
thing. I feel like we've covered them all in the extralife.wizards.com.
Yeah, definitely head
right.
there.
Yeah.
That's going to be your central source for information. I did want to also, Mendy, ask you about, you all are building a new center, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, we are. So we are slated to move into a new building in December. December 12th is what we're calling Go Live. It may sound so very official, right?
Yep.
That probably means something different in your guys' world than it does in our world. But yeah, so we, our center opened in 2009, actually, in a kind of a renovated office building type building. And we have just exponentially outgrown that space. Like
Sure.
Mike was teasing earlier today that, we had like world-class researchers in the broom closet doing their, doing their work. And maybe it wasn't quite that bad, but like, it's not far off. It's not far off. So yeah, so we, what's happening is actually really exciting because we're joining together with the whole Department of Psychiatry at Seattle Children's. So the rest of psychiatry that has other outpatient programs, so things like eating disorders and ADHD clinic and depression and anxiety, services and that sort of thing. So we will all be co-locating. We're calling it sort of a mental health innovation hub of sorts is how we're thinking about it. And so the opportunity is for us to just, have a lot more synergy in our work, both clinically, training-wise, research-wise. And so we have a beautiful new facility up the street from the hospital, up Sandpoint Way from the hospital. It's about 15 or 20% bigger than our old, facilities combined, the outpatient psychiatry and the autism center combined. So we're coming together, but we're also getting more space, state-of-the-art, beautiful clinic space and so on. And what the Autism Center is really excited about is the aspects of that are really well tailored to the patient population. So, things like having multiple different waiting areas, for example, like one that is very sensory focused, where kids who are seeking a lot of sensory input and whatnot, can go and be comfortable and be lounging on beanbag chairs or feeling things on the walls or doing whatever it is that might be stimulating and regulating for them. And then, the opposite would be like a completely quiet waiting area, low light, low stimulation, that sort of thing. So just a lot of like really cool features in the building that are catered to the patients with autism.
Sure.
And also just a building that was designed to be comfortable, family friendly, less clinical maybe than going to the hospital for mental health services. So kind of reducing the stigma around mental health services and just making it very kind of community focused and family friendly. So we're really excited about moving in there in December.
Good. All right, well, chat, we have a little bit of extra time. And as you can see at the bottom, we've got a Q&A spot marked off. So if you have questions about Extra Life, about the secret layer, about the work that the Autism Center does, feel free to put them in chat. It's going to be easier for me to find them if you tag it @magic. And then I will try to ask some of those. And let's see if we have any questions lined up. The first one is, do 50% of profits or 50% of sales go towards the charity? 50% of each Extra Life 2022 purchase will go towards Extra Life and the charity. So that answers that question. Let's see.
Yeah, and that's specifically for the secret layer piece.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Yeah, just right. And then Arena has their piece too, where
Yep.
right, and so yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Pro Shop will have
Yeah.
on there how that is distributed, and of course if you're donating on the stream, that just all goes
right,
right.
yeah, right. If you do a straight donation to support somebody who's streaming, that goes to Extra Life directly. Yeah, and really our intent with all of this is, we want as much money as possible to be helping out with these amazing causes, right? And so we need to navigate that well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. We've gotten some questions about Jumpstart 2022. I'll answer those quickly. Are there special arts for Jumpstart 2020 for the basic land? Not like it was in the past. So Jumpstart 2022, I'll just cover a lot of Jumpstart 2022 questions in one bow. Previews are going to start the week of American Thanksgiving, to specify, because there's a couple Thanksgivings coming up. But American Thanksgiving, so that week of November 22nd is when we'll have Jumpstart 2022 previews. You'll learn more about the product and all that sort of stuff. But we wanted to give you a little taste. Here's a great question for Mike. What are these weird balloons?
Yes. Right. The weird balloons.
It's not inaccurate from that distance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say, so this is Wizards of the Coast with everyone's help won the 2019 Extra Life Network Partner of the Year award, and then we won it back to back in 2020 as well. Right, for all of the work that we've done in partnership with Seattle Children's and with Extra Life. And then in 2021, we got a different balloon, and this is the CARE Award that Seattle Children's specifically gave to Wizards. So awards from both Extra Life and the Children's Miracle Network and Seattle Children's to, reflect the amazing contributions we've made in community involvement. So yeah. As you can tell, I'm really proud.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I hope
very
that
well deserved.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you, because I want to give some credit to you too. How long have you personally been working with Extra Life?
So I think it was, I believe this is now my 7th year. It might be my 8th year. I have to go back and check, but it's 7
Time
or 8
is a
years.
construct. It's
Yeah. Right. Well, and for me, right, like. Early on, I saw what Dungeons and Dragons was doing in partnership with Extra Life, and I thought that's amazing that a game can change its community and make such a difference. I was like, clearly, Magic players are awesome too. We can become a part of this and do it. And so, from those early days where we would raise $40,000 to making products like first Ponies to Galloping, and now the Secret Layer Extra Life drops. Right, it just it was really transformative in terms of how much we could help support. So it's awesome.
I will throw out Mike and Mandy are here mostly to talk about the charity and Extra Life. I've seen a bunch of other questions about other things. I'm going to run through them real quick, so hopefully we can get some other questions for these two. But any update on Explorer Anthology 2 for Arena? Not at this time. I'm just gonna squash this one now. The Urza lands are not in Brothers War. I've seen it. I hate responding to rumors, but I'm just no. Yeah. Will Pioneer ever fully make it to Arena? We are working towards Pioneer being on Arena. When are we getting Brothers War spoilers? So that's usually at the end of the show, I'm like, hey, next week on Weekly MTG. So Weekly MTG is off next week on the 27th, but that's because the Brothers War debut starts on the 27th. And then Brothers War previews are going to be happening all that weekend, mostly focused around Magic 30, but you'll be able to see them at home if you're not there as well. All right. Let's see. More Jumpstart questions.
You want me to ask Mindy a question?
Sure. If you have a question for Mindy, absolutely.
So earlier today you were talking about like the services, right? And like I think a lot of people, of course there's the medical services, but then there's a lot of emotional support, and I'd love for you to sort of share about what you all do in that space.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we were talking earlier today both about kind of support for the families and also for the, kind of some of the kind of counseling and therapy type supports, more focused on kind of the emotional side of things for the patients as well. So the family, piece, I mean, we have sort of multiple layers of, of family supports like we were talking about. So we have things like classes and educational opportunities for families. We have other kinds of support services for parents. Like, for example, we just hired and are hoping to add to this team, and this is all philanthropy funded, of having a licensed mental health counselor that's available to provide kind of emotional support and otherwise case management and all types of support to families that really have a lot of high intensity needs. So where parents might be really stressed and really struggling, and maybe the child is in and out of crisis, on a regular basis with something like severe challenging behavior or maybe suicidality or self-injury. The family's really going through a very tough, challenging time. Besides the medical or the more therapeutic type services for the child's needs, these kinds of services are geared around how do we help the parents cope and keep the family unit stable and, all those kinds of things. So family, kind of emotional and coping support, family education, lots of classes. And then also we do have some specialized services for kids, and especially this, comes into play more as kids get older and kind of into the teen years, for things like depression and anxiety that is occurring in a patient that has autism. So it's kind of a dual diagnosis situation, that sort of thing. So group therapy, individual therapy, a lot of, we have some groups where the patients come and meet as a group together with other kids, and then the parents meet together, for example, to learn how to, cope with emotions or those sorts of things. So quite a big array, I would say, of, how can the patients, the parents, the families, everybody involved kind of cope with the stressors that might come along with, having some of these challenges.
And if people want to learn more about your services, because obviously we don't have the time or ability to dive into all the wonderful work you do, but where would they go? How would they get more information?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So our webpage has a lot of information on it. So seattlechildrens.org is the main hospital webpage. We, of course, then have an autism center, page that dives into all of our services. It links to things like our class schedules, and we also have a fair number of online resources, things that we try to pre-record or handouts that we post. We've also, actually, this is, I should highlight this, a piece that's directly funded by the funds from the Wizards is we've been trying to pre-record a lot of this information so that we can post it. So all the video production costs, those are all funded actually by you guys, thank you. And then we've been doing things like contracting with folks in our community from different cultural groups or different, kind of pockets of the community to try to also make both, recordings in other languages, but also kind of culturally adapted information. So not just like directly translating into Spanish, for example, but also kind of culturally adapting the content. And so we're getting a lot more of that stuff up on our webpage now too. And that is all funded by you guys, as an example of a concrete project funded by the Wizards.
I love that we're the Wizards.
We're the Wizards.
We do. We call you the Wizards. We do. I don't know if that's like kosher or not.
It's awesome.
I do have a few questions and a great comment from chat. So not a question, but as a person relevant to your Extra Life service, Magic has been a huge way to help me connect with other people and give a huge interest to look into. That's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to that connection that
Yeah.
Magic, the community, right, and the mission and the services you're doing, it just ties together. It's so meaningful.
Yeah. Let's see. So there were questions about the Ajani sleeve. The Ajani sleeve is 600 gems on Arena. I know that's a popular one. I run into that one all the time on the ladder from when we did it last year. And then let's see.
That is true. On Arena, I do have a full collection. I was like, oh, I've got my pony sleeves, my Johnny sleeves,
Yep.
right? All sorts of, right? And you can be wearing the shirt with the play mat, right? And sleeve up. You can and then have the secret layers with you as well and be all decked out.
All right. We had another great question from chat. So, besides Extra Life, what other causes do you support? And they just asked that for us individually.
Oh, is that just personally?
Just us personally,
Okay,
yeah.
great. So for me personally, I'm on the board for the Safe Crossings Foundation. If you want to check it out, it's safecrossingsfoundation.org. We raise money and help out kids and families who have lost parents, have lost siblings, spouses. Sorry, not kids, but parents who have lost spouses. And supporting those, right? Especially during COVID, the need is greater than ever in that space. And yeah, it's a fantastic organization that, yeah, it's super meaningful. And I can't give the factoid. I'm going to pass it off because I won't be able to keep it together and keep talking about it.
Fair enough. I'll actually go next because you may be familiar with them. My wife is on the board of the Boyer Children's Clinic.
Yeah, yes, I am.
And so they help. They do what they call early intervention with learning disabilities and helping children get a leg up if they have any difficulties early on with learning or education, that sort of thing. Yeah.
You want me to answer the question as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
All right.
as well.
So yeah, I actually have two that I'm really, sort of invested in. One is another way to support children. So obviously I work at Children's, but one of my daughter's very best friends that we've known this family since the girls were in daycare as babies together, teeny tiny little babies. She has a very, very rare genetic disorder. It's the kind of thing where there's like one other kid in the entire western part of Washington that has the same disorder. And her family started a guild to support Seattle Children's. And that's a whole other area of fundraising where the Seattle Children's Guild Association has over 300 different groups that fundraise. So I'm the president of the I Can and I Will Guild, and we host a fun run every year, which was actually just this last weekend at Green Lake. So we're just doing the aftermath of that, which is awesome. And the other one actually is through the same family because they're very philanthropy-oriented folks, and it's an organization called Summer Search, which is a really cool, they're in South Seattle high schools, and they're focused on getting kids from underserved areas through a four-year college degree. So they mentor the kids starting sophomore year of high school all the way through a four-year college degree. And they have like a 90% success rate or something of getting kids through. So yeah, really cool program.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then can I talk about Wizards for a second too?
Yeah.
Since we're, right, we've talked about ourselves personally. I mean, so to me, it's fantastic that, Extra Life and the Extra Life Secret Layer came together. And to me, it really reflects how Magic and the Magic team have really gone out and supported charities, right? Like the Trevor Project, Black Girls Code, right? We do, Secret Layers and other activations for that as well. And then Magi Kids is somebody we've partnered with in terms of, helping out schools and libraries in that program. It's like there's tons of kids out there who are trying to find their way in life, and so we want to help out with their Operation Gratitude and more. I mean, there's just it's a huge list, and I'm glad we support all these awesome causes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
All right, we are just out of time, and there was a request, producer Sean, to show the Secret Layer cards again. So let's put the digital versions of those up on the screen again. And I'll just, these are going to be on sale November 4th through 7th. There is a non-foil bundle for $39.99, and traditional foil is $49.99, and that gets you, by the way, all 6 of these cards.
That's right.
So you get both versions of the art for all 3 cards. 50% of each Extra Life 2022 Secret Lair purchase will go to Extra Life and the Seattle Children's Hospital Autism Center. And then, of course, the Ultra Pro merchandise, the arena sleeves. You can learn about all of this on extralife.wizards.com, where you can also go to get involved. Before we go, I want to thank Mendy and Mike for joining us and sharing everything. Be sure to head to the website and check out extralife.wizards.com. Next week, Weekly MTG is going to be off because I'm going to be in Las Vegas at Magic 30. But on the 27th, we are kicking off Brothers War previews with the debut 9 a.m. Pacific time. That will be streaming right here on twitch.tv/magic. That's going to kick off an amazing weekend with also the World Championship, which will be streaming all weekend. There will also be, there are still virtual tickets available if you want to participate in some of the panels, in catching some of the preview cards that are gonna be there all weekend. There's gonna be a special Brothers War panel on Sunday. There's just gonna be a ton going on in Las Vegas. And if you're at home, you can partake in a number of different ways. So thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Unless you're at Magic 30.
Unless you're at Magic 30, then yeah, swing by and say hi, wherever I am. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.